All right, everybody. Today I'm joined by Mr. Brad Van der Wal himself. Last year, he and his team did over 1,250 deals. And today's agreed to come on and share with you all a bit more about his team, how he's done business, and some of the things he's learned along his 10-year journey in real estate. Now, as you're all aware, doing over 1,000 homes a year is no joke. It puts you in the top percentile, or point percentile, should I say, in the whole of real estate. So we're going to be breaking down exactly how he's done it and some of the pros and cons of different strategies to get you deals in today, tomorrow, or in 3 months' time, however it looks. So Brad, thanks for agreeing to come on, bud, and share with my people how you managed to close over 1,000 deals last year. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Always a pleasure seeing you, buddy. As much as I rip on you, it's always fun.
So give people a little bit of context, like a super quick backstory. Obviously, been in real estate, you ran the top team, number one team in the number one RE/MAX office in the world. And I know you subsequently moved. But give people a quick rundown on like a bit of your history, because 1,200, over 1,000 deals, like obviously very few people ever achieve that in their whole life, never mind in a whole year. So give us a rundown.
I think, when I started, it was one of the worst times we'd seen. It was 2008, 2009. And I'm like, let's become a real estate agent. And I didn't know what I was walking into. But, one thing I did is just, I didn't listen to the news. One of my mentors said, don't ever listen to the news. And I stopped and I just kind of put my head down and just grinded. I didn't know the difference. And, I had a pretty good first year. I think I did 46 deals, literally in the worst market we had seen since the 80s. And I started April 1st. So not only that, I didn't even have like a full year. So it was fun. It was hard. It was challenging. I learned a lot from the mentor, but mostly I learned what not to do. He wasn't great to me. He wasn't kind. I'm like, well, when I start a team, I'm not going to be like this. Still great. Wouldn't change it. Fast forward a few years, started a team. Actually, not even true. Fast forward 9 months, left, started my own team, grew it from there, fumble fucked my way, starting a team, didn't know what I was doing, just brought people leads. And then, you just kind of start blowing up. And then come about year 10, I'd say, I've actually been, you said 10, I've actually been 13, but whatever. So year 10 is when it kind of started picking up. And the last 3 years has just really added, fuel to the fire of growing the team from 6 to 37. And you keep growing it and doing things and, doing pre-construction. I'll get into that, as that's how we grew. A big part of our business is getting some big builders. That's really how you can do some volume, is if you get some builders that are giving you, 50 or 100 units and you have 6 of them, like do the math, like it adds up, right?
Yeah, for sure. Break down a little bit more then. I want to dive into the whole team and the structure and how you've kind of done it, because you grew so quickly. Like in the grand scheme, you just grew at like an electric rate. So what does that look like from a team standpoint? Is everyone doing their own thing? Do you have like lead pools? Like what's the commissions and splits? Is it, break that down a little bit.
I think that the truth is, I did go to EXP, and the reason why I went is because it allowed me to be on a platform. So EXP is more of a platform. And I don't want to make this about EXP, but you're asking just, hey, why am I doing this, right? And by looking at the platform, it just allowed me to grow. It allowed me to bring my splits down, because I was at RE/MAX and I had a team at RE/MAX, and my team members were spending $16,000 to $20,000 a year. That's the way it was at RE/MAX. Because of this model, my team's cap went to $4,000. So imagine if you're a real estate agent on my team, it's like, hey, we're just switching. And now instead of $20,000, it's $4,000. But having a 4 cap for a team, it's huge. So we that cap alone enabled us to go from 6 agents to 37, because every agent that was on another team or whatever, it's like, oh, okay, well, are you serious? Like I saved $16,000. So that's how we grow so quick. To be genuine about you, is when we made the switch, because the cap was so much less. In my city, RE/MAX is like, I love RE/MAX, still a fantastic brand. They were like the number one. Everything it's all RE/MAX in Calgary, where I grew up and where I live. And it's starting to change a little bit, but it just opened up so many doors for me to get more people whenever you have a 4K cap. Like, let's be honest, right? That's very inexpensive.
Yeah, for sure. It's a huge difference, right? Like, and ultimately that's money in their pocket. That's not money in yours.
Exactly.
Like, that's money, that's why it matters for the agent. A lot of brokers and team leads and stuff, it's kind of like this hierarchical system where they're just collecting more. And that's switch. It's like, no, you're collecting more. You now have 16 grand more in your pocket because of this switch. Now, I want to go into like the lead gen side of your team and how that looks. So is it like self organized? Would you say it's like, hey, they all going out doing their own leads? Is it like a lead pool? Like, how does that look for your team?
Well, the truth is, I used to do leads for, as you know, Andrew, did leads for a long time. And then I was working them and I was doing it and then I was selling a bunch of stuff. And there's a few guys that would sell the odd thing here and there. My team, and it's, call it my fault or my choice. I'm not sitting there coaching them maybe as I should, to be completely honest or whatever. But my team is set up differently now. It's like you're your own independent person. I'm going to teach you how to grow a business. Somebody that's based on online leads, yes, that's a business, but I want different avenues. Like I show people how to be great on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. And you know what I mean? Like internet leads can be a part of it because we still do that. But in order for you to really pop, there's other ways you can do it. And truthfully, not everybody wants internet leads, right? Like not everybody, that's not their, some people like, I don't want leads. Like I want to be a TikTok star, a YouTube star, or, I want to work with developers or retirement facilities or, like there's just so many different things that might not be their jam. So I just found that, I'm starting my team. I tell them they're not getting internet leads, but I'll show them how to grow their own business with 20 different ways we grow a business. And that seems to be working for the people that actually want to put in the work.
Put the power in their hands, right? That's essentially what you're doing. You're enabling them to basically control their own destiny. And ultimately, it's making you not as out of pocket, because there is a ton of teams that spend a lot of money and the leads just don't get work properly, and it's just like a lost cause.
And I'm not the kind of leader that's going to micromanage and do that. It gives me anxiety. You know what I mean? Like I want to be a leader. I want to be a mentor. I want to motivate people, but I'm not going to be your accountability person. It physically ills me to do these things. So if it makes my life worse, why do it? And if somebody on a team needs that, I tell them, hey, there's other great teams out there. This isn't the team if you need that. Because I spent $50,000 and I go around and I ask the team, they're all getting leads. I'd coach them. I'd mentor them. We do this stuff. And then I'd be like, nobody's closing anything. Then I would get on it. What pissed me off is I would start closing some. It's like, it's not the leads, it's the people. I lit 50 grand on fire in 4 months and nobody closed a thing. So it's like, at that point, I just shut it down and I said, I'm never doing it again because I've always had problems with it. So
funny, I want to dive into like some of the pros and cons, because you were heavy on Zillow for a long time, like, and other lead sources. Like we do a lot of Facebook stuff, right? And obviously the expense is one of the cons of online leads. The pro obviously is like you can get them tomorrow, today, like, there's pros and cons. But from your perspective of doing this many deals, what are, in your mind, some of the major pros and cons to online leads for a start? And we'll dive into some of your other lead sources, because I know you got a bunch.
I think the online leads works. That's how I cut my teeth. Like I've made millions of dollars from online leads. Like it works. I'm just at a stage in my career now where I don't want to work the leads. That's just the truth. But if you're starting off, if you're looking to grow a team, make sure you're really scripted, make sure you're structured. The mistake I made is when I started a team, I just gave them leads and assumed they could close like me. That's just an assumption I made that's a learning experience, right? Like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, well, I find it easy. Everybody should. And that's not the case. So if you do have a team, you're starting a team, make sure you do that. Get some kind of training on leads. The truth is, if you're starting to pay for leads, I promise you, it's not the leads that suck, it's you. But lead gen isn't for everybody. The biggest rock stars, like take Zillow out, but let's just say you're doing pay-per-click, PPC stuff, because Zillow, you can get some better numbers, but just on a normal Facebook or Google lead, you're lucky to close 3%. So if you don't want to waste your time 97% of the time, lead gen's just simply not for you. Like that's just the numbers, right? But you can do great with it. If you're a newer agent, there's many great people out there that mentor you, that make sure you have your scripts right before you're going ahead. Make sure you make some cold calls first. Like make sure you call people, circle dial, to make sure that you can handle the rejection and do these things. Don't go spend a bunch of money, get these leads, say they don't suck. And the truth is, I don't know the stat, but like a ridiculous amount of business is done after the 7th phone call. So like if you can't sit there and call the same person 7 times and not get an answer, this isn't for you. And it's okay, because there's just so many other things you can do. But I think mindset's very important when you're coming into gen, because you're gonna get your ass kicked. You're gonna get hung up on. You're gonna call people. Then you're gonna be this person. You're gonna have great conversations with people, and you're gonna run around like, oh my God, this person's buying a $600,000 house, and we're looking on Saturday, and it's Monday, and then you can't get a hold of them ever again. Like it's not for the weak. You know what I mean? It's just not minded stuff. But it's great. Like I said, I don't mean this to brag, but I've made millions of dollars. It works. You just have to work it
Yeah.
really well.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned about follow-ups. That's a question I had for you. I mean, statistically, it's between 7 and 13 touch points now.
Yeah.
And that's because the way the industry, the whole world has evolved in this social media. It's this like, it's goldfish mindset. It's like you've forgotten, and people need this like constant reinforcement. I think it used to be something like, was it like 3 to 7? And now it's 7 to 13. So it's jumped up a lot. What does that look like? Have you got systems in place? You texting, emailing, phone calls, drips, and all that stuff built into CRMs? Is that how you and your team are keeping tabs on all of them?
And honestly, Andrew, we haven't done lead gen, and being honest, in a long time. And when we did, that's something like I think back, and if I could go back in time, and if I wasn't at this stage in my life, I'd be so much better at it. Like we didn't have drip campaigns, we didn't have all this stuff. Like I'm just, because it's a system I have to create, and you know me, I'm systematic in my head, but implementation of it, I'm not great. So now there's companies that literally you pay monthly for all of their follow up. Like the lead comes in, they follow up, they do everything, and I think that if you're going to do it, start off that way and then expand, but we didn't have a lot of systems. And I think that was our flaw. So if anybody's going to learn something from this, I hope it's like, hey, if you're doing lead gen, I made a ton of money and I did it poorly. Like my follow-up was pretty on point. I was able to call those 7 to 12 times. That didn't bother me. But then after that, it's like, if I would have just set, like, I think I have 30, 40,000 leads in my CRM and I'm doing nothing with them. Literally nothing. They just hang out there. I don't have follow-up. I don't have anything. I'm not even emailing them once a month with a market update. Literally, I could be mining this and I'm not. So basically, it's like, just don't do what I do. It's just I'm a hunter, right? So it's like, okay, oh, you're done, next, done, next. Where if I would have had a farmer mentality with a hunter mentality, who knows how many more homes I would have sold, right?
I want to dive into your hunter mentality because this is where we part ways, because I am much more of like online lead gen, nurture, follow up. And you've done a lot of that, like you said, but you to your core are a hunter and you will pick up that phone and smile and dial till you're blue in the face. So I want to dive into the whole aspect of cold calling, some of the pros and cons from your side. Because like for me, the biggest pro for cold calling is free. Like anyone can do it. It's free and you can do as much of it as you want and there is deals to be had. But like you're an expert cold caller, it's something you've done for a long time. So, break down a little bit more about the advantages, some of the pros and cons of the cold calling and like that. Cold calling, door knocking, it's kind of a similar vibe, way of getting deals.
I don't like door knocking personally. I did it because you could knock 100 doors and it's so much time and maybe you talk to 2 people. Whereas now for my cold calling, if I spend that same amount of time, I'm talking to more people. You're looking for as many at-bats as you can get. I'm not saying don't door knock. I'm just saying it doesn't work for me. Because if I sit there and smile and dial, but the best part about smiling and dialing when I started in my business, when I didn't know what I was doing, all these things, I'm in control. It might take me 12 hours to get a really good conversation. I'm just making that number up, but I'm still in control of those 12 hours. I'm still in control. I'm not at the mercy of waiting for somebody to call me. That's what I loved about it is, hey, look, but then what that muscle taught me by doing all these cold calls and doing it is then it got to bigger fish. Then it got to other things, right? Because then it got to like some of the things I teach, like to get into assisted living. So then I sat there, called like 15 assisted living facilities and started partnering up with them because I was used to that. Now they're giving me shit tons of business. Then it's like, okay, what's next? Then I started calling like smaller builders that are doing like 10 or 15 deals a year. Then I started getting them to work with me. Like, you know what I mean? Now it's just not one person. Now, because I was doing so many calls, I'm getting bigger groups. And then we landed a whale and we did like 850 deals with that person alone. And then, it just comes to you. Like we did another one that was 87 recently, another one that was 90 deals. Like with this builder, I had another one reach out to me because our word's starting to get, we're doing it. And I'm meeting her for coffee on Tuesday and she might want me to take over. Like some people think like cold calling is, it doesn't work. It's what you do with it. Like you start off with calling individuals, but then once you learn a skill set and you have thicker skin, go after the players that can give you a ton of business. That's how you really grow, right? Because I don't cold call. I haven't cold called somebody in years to try to get a listing or something like that. I'm going after like who can give me dozens or hundreds of units. That's now where my mindset is. But I grew the mindset from calling the one person.
I love that. Like the builders, developers is something that I'm not going to say it's totally unique to you, but you are one of the very few, and you do it at a large scale, and that's allowed you to scale with actually a very small team. When you think about the number of deals you're doing, you've got a super small team. Like I think when you did what was like 1,200-1,300 deals, you only had a team of like, was it 20 in the low 20s, something like that?
But it's true. But here's the crazy thing is that 800 or so of the deals were pre-construction. So really that was just my business partner, Mark, and I, and our admin staff that crushed 800 deals, the two of us. And then the other team I had was about 15, I'd say at the time, maybe 20. They did the other, call it 350 or 400.
Yeah, which is wild when you think about that. Let's like for the people
Oh, and
listening.
time out. I also did 100 resale. So actually, of that, if you think about it, sorry team, I'm just being honest. Of that, my team even sold less because 100 of the deals of that 400 that were left, 100 of them were me for resale.
Just a monster out here. When it comes to the pre-con and developer side of stuff, what are some of the things that help that you could give people listening, where it's like, this is how you crush out pre-con and developer stuff? Because it's a different game, but like you said, it's like once you got your teeth into it, it's easier to scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they all know each other, especially all the big builders. So what do you think about the pre-con stuff?
Finding their pain point. That's the number one thing. So whenever I started, Calgary's inner city is really unique. They tear down a bungalow or ranch or whatever they call it in the United States, and then they put up 2 new homes. So it's on a 50-foot lot by 100. So basically what they come in is then they do that. I'm like, it's called an infill. So I really wanted to be like we're called infill hub. I wanted to be the infill experts. So I kept hearing like builders being like, they're like, hey, they're talking about their pain points. Their pain point was that they didn't have land. So it's like, I don't have land. I don't have land. I don't have land. I'm like, I kept hearing it. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to go find them land. Like if that's what they need. So then I went, door knocked, flyer, did all these things to get them land. And then after 2 years, we were just known as the people that got land because we sold hundreds of lots. But here's the cool thing about also getting the land is that when you get the land, sometimes you get double-ended. Most of the time it was one deal and it's almost always off market. But I'd sell something for like 600,000. So let's say I made whatever, 12 grand. But then the builder was putting up $2 million homes on that. So I'd get 3 commissions from finding one piece of land. I might make 50 grand. You're pretty motivated to find land when you're making 50,000, but that all came from finding their pain point. And then whenever we got with all these other developments, their pain points were sales. How do we do this? We want investors. So I started an investor pool, flew to other cities to get investors. Like you just have to want it really bad. And myself and my business partner, Mark, we did, and then we sold almost every unit to people in a different city. Like think about that. Nobody from my province or city was buying these units. So Mark had a crazy idea to fly across the country and sell it to them in an area that they were doing really well. And because of that, we've sold like 15 or 2,000 units to people in Toronto, and we live in Calgary. Like it's Grant Cardone. What was one of his things? It's like create your own economy. Yeah. And it's like if you can't find it, go and create it. And it might suck, but you know what? For a year and a half, losing money, pushing a boulder uphill, is this really worth it? And then just all of a sudden it went viral. And then I look at my bank account, I'm like, it was worth it. It was 1,000% worth it. Like for sure. Right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, now you look back, like you said, we've known each other for last few years, and like the growth you had. It's like the whole like, oh, you're an overnight success, but it just like you just blew up. Like you just like went and you just scaled so quickly, and it's just when all the kind of ducks fell in a row for you. But it was been years in the making.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really was. Now, I've got a question for you. If you were to give advice to a brand new agent, someone who wanted to come out into real estate, crush it, what would be your main bit of advice you would give them to basically allow them to be as successful as you are, just be successful in real estate and not be one of the 87%?
Find a tribe and enjoy it. Find a real estate coach, find somebody that motivates you to keep it going. That's a big thing to do. And the first thing I would do if I were going back in real estate, knowing what I know now, is I'd make a list of everybody that was in my phone that I would sell a house to. Like, like you have people that let's say you're in a different state. If you don't want to sell a house, don't necessarily put them in there. Of course, you still can and look for referrals, but it's not about that. Find 200 people, start calling them, inviting them to little events. Like, hey, I'm having a picnic at the park. I'm going to supply food. Like, you can do it for a couple $100. You get 20 people there, start building that rapport. Because I always get asked, what would you do? But I always look at, if I had to go start in a new city, because that's where my mind works, right? It's like, if I'd start in a new city, what are some things that I would do? Doing, like, obviously I don't have that that sphere. So like, take the sphere aside, but the other stuff I do is like calling landlords. I know I mentioned a lot. I love calling landlords. It's such a great way to get listings. You literally call somebody that has a house for rent and just basically the script is asking if they want to sell. It's huge. Like, and you control that. Like, there's people that post things for rent every 5 minutes in some areas. So it's a listing machine. And then honestly, like I told you before, assisted living facilities. Like, if you can get in with 10 or 15 assisted living facilities and they send you a deal a quarter, you're doing 50 deals from that. Let's say 20 deals from the landlords. You can do, by year 2, you can do 70 deals if you just do that. And you're only maintaining. One thing I love about real estate is, what I like to do is, I'm not great at retaining relationships with my past clients, but I'm great retaining relationships with people that can feed me copious amounts of business. Like the builders that I'm getting right now, it's like, here's a building of 70, what's in the last one? 74. Here's a building of 68. It's like, those are bigger paychecks, right? And those are the people now that I've transitioned. But if you're brand new, I'm telling you, assisted living facilities, calling landlords, honestly, getting on with divorce lawyers. Go meet divorce lawyers. A lot of them, whenever I called, when I had the concept, did not have a realtor referral source, believe it or not. So imagine, like, let's break this down for a newer agent. Imagine, like, think about this. Imagine you had 10 divorce lawyers. That's not very hard to get in your repertoire. There's hundreds. Just Google family law in your area. Let's say you get 10 of them and they give you one deal a quarter. That's it. You're not grand slamming. Some of these guys do 20 divorces a month. I'm just looking for one a quarter. You have 10 people like that. So now you're maintaining those 10 relationships. That's 40 deals right there from 10 divorce lawyers. Then let's say you find 10 assisted living facilities and they only give you one a quarter. That's it. That's another 40 deals. If you maintained 20 relationships really well, treated them like gold, dinners, everything, you're auto 80 deals a year by talking to 20 people.
Yeah. This is actually why I wanted to bring you on to share, because you are basically one of the very few people that I know where you go to kind of a source. You don't go to the end consumer. You'll go, actually, I want to go to the person that can give me these people. I don't want to go find the person going through the divorce. I want to go find the person that they go to get a divorce. And it's like, your mind has always gone, well, if people need assisted living homes and stuff, these houses are now vacant. They've lived in them for 30 years. It's their families put them in a home. It's like, well, let's go to the homes.
Yeah.
Because then I get them in a concentrated area and I've got to speak to a few people.
And it's volume.
And then they're like, it's just crazy volume, which is how you've ultimately scaled so fast, is because like your mindset is like, I'm going to go to one, like, sources and get multiple deals rather than going to one person. Now, you've touched on some amazing strategies here. And obviously you've got your own, both your free and paid coaching. So where can people find out, learn a little bit more about your coaching and some of the other stuff, the team and everything else that you've got going on?
Yeah, honestly, text me like 403-888-7653 or follow me on YouTube. I don't know. Do you see I didn't even know. Do you know how many videos I have on YouTube now in the last 7 months?
100.
Over 500. I have over 500 videos on YouTube. Like, my team does it, but I couldn't believe it. I just looked one day. You know me, I don't look very often. 500. So follow me on YouTube. I'm going to be interviewing some of the top agents. Like, my free trainings on there. There's a link on my YouTube to either book a call with me if you want, or truthfully, you can just book and start coming to my training. There's 8,000 agents that have signed up for my Tuesday coaching, and I teach something different every single Tuesday. It's absolutely free. If you sign up, you get a text notification, email notification. So I'm just looking to help change the industry, but I can't stress enough. I'm really focused now on helping people who want to help themselves. So if you're looking to become a rock star, just Google Double Your Income Coaching. Our website's being redone right now. That's another way you can find me too, is doubleyourincomecoaching.com. But it'll probably be another few weeks before the website's ready to go.
I love it. Brad, thanks for coming on today and sharing your secrets to success. Hopefully everyone enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the next one.